So I kind of told you how I did it. I would go to their house. Remember, first of all, I'm chasing ugly houses, distressed sellers. You know, I'm looking for situations. I'm going to meet a lady where they dumped a dump truck load of sand in her basement because she had 20 cats and it was a permanent litter box, so the house had the smell to it. I'm going to a house where the water's pouring out the basement windows because the tenant moved out and stuffed rags down the drain and turned the water on so you could create an aquarium or something. I mean, it was like our house full of debris that you couldn't do, or oh, this is good for you. Everybody in this room qualifies to hear this. Used to be on the airlines, they gave you real silverware. It was incredible. I went to a house and my feet stuck to the floor and went shh, shh. They had a baby laying on the floor, had cats and dogs and stuff, and it smelled really bad. And she had all these boxes stacked up. And I said, what are all the boxes for? She goes, oh, I do work for the airlines. I pack their silverware in bags and ship them back. It was like, oh my God. If I went on a plane, I'd do it with my hands. But anyway, you got to look for the right motivation. And that's the kind of thing. Todd knows it makes Adam.
Yeah, and you start negotiating a deal when you're talking to them on the phone in the beginning. You know, they just call you and say, I'm looking to sell my house, and then you say, terrific. And you just start asking them a few questions like, when you're trying to find their motivation, when are you looking to sell? What's your timeline? You know, you try to find out, like today I took one and the lady says, yesterday. And then I said, where are you? Are you living in a house? Is it a rental? No, I'm living here. I said, where are you gonna move to? And I just started talking to her, and she's, I'm moving to Minnesota. Oh, you must love the cold weather, right? Yeah, blah, 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 right? So she wants to move as soon as possible, so she's motivated, right? Then I find out a little bit about her house. Just ask a few basic questions, because as a realtor or Zillow and all that, you can find out how many square feet it is. You can go on Google. You can look at the house pretty much. So you're just asking questions just to talk, you know, is there anything wrong with the property that I should know about? And then I ask, do you owe anything? You know, a lot of them don't owe anything, you know, they don't have a mortgage. Do you have any back taxes, water bills? And just start asking a few questions like that. And then while you're talking, you throw in there, and you want to do this a few different ways, a few different times, is what are you looking to get? How much? And then you be quiet. You let them try to say something. You know, you try to get a number from them. Because if they're telling you, well, the more you start learning about neighborhoods and you're a realtor and you know what's going on, you'll know if it's on Lasher at 15800 block of Lasher and they told me they want 90,000, I'm gonna tell them you're crazy, right? So I'm trying to figure out what they're looking, you know. And then, like I said, I always ask them that question about, is there anything wrong with the house that I should know about? And they start saying the basement or this, or I got a roof issue, and then you can talk about that a little bit. And you try to get that number, and if that number sounds like, if someone told me $15,000, I'm gonna go see, I'm not trying to negotiate the number now on the phone. But if she told me 40,000, I'm gonna say, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and blah, 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 and I just had one that I just sold over in that area, or I just bought in that area, and I'm gonna be more around the, you know, $16,000, $17,000 mark. Just kind of throw that out there, depending on the repairs. You know, things like that, or whatever that number is. So you're trying to get, you know, a low enough number so you could get out there. Not a low number, but if they say 15, okay, that means you're gonna take less. In my mind, that's what I think. If someone tells me a number, they're gonna take less, right? So, and then you go out there and then the negotiation starts right in, not starts, you start, really there's no negotiating in the beginning. You shake their hand, you go through, you smile, you walk through, you talk about them, what's going on, and tell them a little bit about, you know, slowly but surely what you do and how you do it as you're walking through the house. And then once you walk through the house and you ask them again, act like you forgot what they told you before, and say, no, what do you know, and you can tell them this, this property, what I do with this property is I'm probably gonna maybe keep it as a rental property, or I might sell in a land contract, something like that. I'm not sure yet, we just did this, we just did that, and then you still try to ask that number again, because sometimes they'll even be lower the next time you ask them, when you're face to face. And then you can even tell them about the house, I'm gonna have to do this to the house, I'm gonna have to do this, the roof is great, you did a great job there. And you can start talking about the house and how much it's gonna cost, what do you think a kitchen's gonna cost to fix it, and then hopefully they give you a high number. And then you can use that later, 5 minutes later, you say, the kitchen, like you said, is gonna cost me $8,000, and then this and that, and then you start taking it from there.
Here's what he's not doing, and here's what the fatal mistake for most new investors are. You're thinking, I would never sell the house that low. I would demand a deposit. So you've got to eliminate your thought process. If they don't give you a number, you're going to start at a very low number to begin with, okay? They'll come back and tell you where they're at. It's all a conversation. So he's not going there saying, well, the house is worth 40 if I get it for 20. I mean, he might have that conversation, but he's going to start with the assumption that they're going to give it to him. That's a really good assumption to take.
Right. And then another good
You're your own worst enemy.
Another good question is ask them what they think the house is worth when it's all fixed up. Okay, because you should know that before you get there. If I know it's worth 80 fixed up, and they tell me it's worth 50, I'm like, you're probably right. Right? Now, if they say 100, I'm gonna say, no, ma'am, or sir, it's the reason why this house just sold over here, and it's a little bit bigger, but yours is this, that, and so you gotta get them to your number. But if they're telling you a low number because they looked on Zillow or something, and always look on Zillow because that's where most people are looking, Zillow, Trulia, and stuff like that, because that's what they've already did their homework on. And then you can show them, different later. But yeah, if they give you that low number and you say, right, fixed up it's worth 50, and then I'm gonna have to put 20 into it, I gotta make a little profit, things like that. So you could kind of talk them down that way.
So we're gonna give you a video on negotiating too. Just remember, when you're just talking to yourself, you're talking to an idiot. Because, and that's a fact, you really need to put stuff in a dialogue with other people, and out of that will come where you're going. We're gonna give you a script that you're gonna get in the PowerPoint, and then when you come Saturday, we're gonna give you another script that's way more detailed, a lot longer, that you can talk to people. It's one that one of our Dave uses. It's a good script. But this is it. It's pretty simple. You want to kind of just ring?
Yeah, so. Hi, sir, how you doing?
Good.
So when someone calls me, or when I'm calling someone and it's like for a lead, cold call or warm call or whatever, a lot of mistake people, I love listening to new people do it too. You go, hey, hi, Mrs. Jones, or hi, ma'am, and then they're quiet. What are they gonna do? They're gonna be, why are you calling me? Blah, 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 blah. How'd you get my number? All of it's negative, right from the get-go. So they pick up the phone, I go, hi, sir, how you doing? My name's Todd. I'm calling regarding your property on Mendota Street. The reason for my call, sir, is I am looking to buy another property in the next 30 to 60 days. And I was just trying to see how I could get a fair cash offer over to you. Something like that. That's it. So I just keep talking, then they're listening. They're mad at me at first, but I don't hear it. And then, and if they're interested, they're gonna hook, right? They're gonna say, how can I get a fair cash offer? Whatever they say from there. Then because you're gonna make 100 calls and maybe get 1 or 2 people that might be interested. So now you gotta know how to take all the ones that aren't interested, right? And they say, no, I'm not interested. Say, well, do you have any other property? Now you're making them sound like they're investors, they're landlords. Well, do you have any other properties that you might be interested in selling? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say no. Well, let me ask you this. In the next 3 to 6 months, or are you interested in possibly selling? No. Do you know any, last question before I hang up, do you know anyone else that might be interested in selling? Right? Because I could do, you know, if you're allowed to do a referral fee, blah, 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 whatever. You say, you know, there's a whole little script to that stuff. And if they kind of sound interested, okay, if I follow up with you, you know, in the next 6 to 7 days or 30 days, and then you follow up in 3 weeks or whatever you said, you know, a little bit before the time you said. Because now you're gonna be friends with them. You go, hey, hi, Mr. Jones, how you doing?
So we're on the phone with them. This is a lead sheet you're gonna
Yeah,
get?
that's what a lead sheet I use.
You're
Looks
gonna
like.
get this one too from us.
It's easy, it says brick or frame, you know, the bedroom count, bathroom count, just a few things, if they owe taxes, water, mortgage, additional, and then these things here, you'll be able to read it. Kind of some questions you gotta try to get to the why they're trying to sell it. Because if they're not motivated, there's no reason, they're not gonna sell you their house. There's gotta be, you know, there's gotta be a reason.
And remember, he can always list the house, worst case, right?
Right. If they just want to sell, get top dollar, then we could change hats on that.
And that sheet is more so for incoming leads, right?
For income, yeah, you can use it for, like,
Will
well,
they be
no,
using-
when you're calling them, you can use that when you're talking to them, when you're making a lead.
They'll use it on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, so now you got the lead. The most key thing is, if it's a good lead, you need to get there quickly, because Eric's on his way. You gotta
Yeah.
meet him there. So,
I made a mistake there, I lost a lot of money.
so it's race to the swift when you got a deal. So you don't sell real estate in slow motion, or buy it in slow motion. So, before you go to the house, what are the things you're gonna look at? Public records and,
Yeah, I look at on the MLS, I look at public records, to see, you know, who owns it, what they bought the house for when they bought it. You know, it kind of gives you, if they paid $2,000 3 years ago at the tax sale, then you know the title's a little goofy, and they only paid $2,000. So, and then I check the taxes, see if they're back, if they owe anything on taxes, and you know, just kind of, then I do a little bit of the comps. I mean, it'll take me 3 or 4 minutes to do all that, you know.
so we're giving you a video on how to do all that, okay? But the fact that you gotta have access to the MLS on some of this stuff, we'll give you alternate ways, but it's best to have that.
And sometimes I don't even do any of that. I do it when I'm at their house, or when I'm talking to them, and I'll sit down with them. This thing, you know, I just pull out my phone and say, how much you owe on taxes? They say, oh, I owe about $2,500. I say, hang on. Oh, it's $5,500. You know, usually whatever they say, you can double it. You know, so what? What are you talking about? I said, look. You know, and so a lot of things you could do right then and there, but especially when you're new, it's good to kind of be prepared, you know, so you could worry about, you know, negotiating and getting that deal down.
So average comps in the area, that's comparable sales, similar. So he's gonna have that when he goes there. We're gonna give you a video on that. He's kind of talked about how to negotiate with the seller. So having the right purchase agreement, a buyer favorable purchase agreement is really key. So we're gonna give you a video and all the stuff that you need to write, plus a buyer favorable purchase agreement. The bottom of the purchase agreement is gonna say BF. Don't ever use that when you're selling your own house. It's buyer favorable. It's SF, it's seller fee. So, and it looks just like a standard purchase agreement. There are no such things as standard purchase agreements. Whatever your purchase agreement is your standard purchase agreement, okay?
And I use a scanner on my phone, you know, cost me $3. And when they sign the contract, I scan it, and I scan the other side, and then I make sure I can see it, looks good, and then I email it off to myself, right? And then you give them the original, you know, or you send it to your title company to open up title, you know, so.
So I'm gonna have a claim of interest, the right to file a claim of interest against any property that I tie up. It's gonna be in my purchase agreement. I'll show you that in just a minute. That's in case anybody ever tries to go around me, because remember, I'm gonna take this property and then try to move it to a bunch of investors. You're gonna have to, you need to get everything signed, like, you're gonna have a lead paint, this paint disclosure, the seller disclosure, and sometimes people are ready to deed off the property right on the spot, because they'll just give it to you. So I'm gonna still do a purchase agreement that I'm buying it for $1, and I'm gonna take a quick claim deed and a warranty deed from them, because if the house is dragging taxes, and I wanna sell it to Todd, I can give him a quick claim deed, and he can pull title work and make sure it's clean, but it's got taxes against it, so you can't record a warranty deed if it's got taxes against it. But I'm gonna collect all that from him right on the spot. So that means if I'm getting the deed from him, I'm gonna probably need to go to a bank or have a notary, okay, available.
Yes, sir.
You may have already went over this, but I stepped out. What is a quick claim deed?
That's a deed where they're assigning or whatever rights they have in the property to use.
Okay.
But they're not warranting the property, saying it's,
It's as is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah,
Thank you.
so, but I collected a warranty deed at the same time. I'm gonna give you all the paperwork to this, and I'm gonna give you a video on how to go through and do all this. It's not something you can do with it. So this is basically the purchase agreement, key points on it, property to be free of debris, at least broom clean and in condition of closing, at the time of closing. You're not gonna have that if they're just deeding your property over a lot of
Just
times.
cross it
We're
off.
gonna give you a video, this is our standard purchase agreement, assumption of existing financing. People have a mortgage on the house and I'm taking the property, so it's in pre-foreclosure. I got the list from Bill. And the people deed the property over to me for $1. So now I'm assuming their existing mortgage, except I'm not gonna assume it. I'm gonna agree to take it subject to. So the word subject to means that I'm not agreeing to assume and pay the mortgage, the underlying mortgage. And it spells it out in detail here saying that. So that means that I'm not liable, and I'm not telling them I'm not liable. But remember, they don't want it, they just want to walk away. Why would they give it to me? Because I'm going to make an effort to get it sold. Why are they going to give it to me? Because the house in Detroit, if you vacate the house, that means that the furnace is going to be gone, all the plumbing, and the mortgage company's going to be in trouble. So as a service to the mortgage company, I'm going to take the property over, and I'm going to lease it out to somebody. I'm going to collect like a big chunk of rent while I keep it listed and work on a short sale and do all this other stuff to the house. But remember, I now collected, I might lease it to somebody for 6 months for $1,500. So now I just put $1,500 in my pocket, and I keep the listing on the house, when I work on a short sale. There's a lot of things I can do with that foreclosure, and I've taken it subject to. So I've got the ability to extend the closing out 180 days, but in this case, like if I'm taking one for some real cash, I've got no tax prorations in Wayne, Oakland, Livingston County. Taxes are paid in advance, so if they've got taxes that are prepaid, I'm getting them all at no charge. This is where I can extend it out. I'm not gonna try to do it because the video does all this and we don't have the time to go through it. This says I've got the right to file a claim of interest against the property. So now I don't want to lose my purchase agreement. He's taking a shot of it. He wants to put it on a cloud somewhere because along comes another investor, let's say Joey, the guy filming, and he just tells the person that he's going to take the house for more money, but he doesn't check the title. And I filed a claim of interest against the property. So he buys the property now. 5 years later, he's getting ready to sell it. The title company calls me up on my claim of interest because it tells them, gives them my phone number and everything, and they say we need to get a release of the claim of interest. And then I go, how much do I want to get? Let's see. I'm going to get $5,000 because it would take Joey $10,000 to sue me. And then I tell him it's $5,000. And then Joey's selling the house and he's got to pay me the money for sneaking around. You follow?